So I should be, well, I should be using a better camera than this, but I have messed up my phone slightly, so I have a fuzzy camera. So excuse me, everyone. Erin Zen Warrior signing in. I'm just going to put myself on Do Not Disturb. And I should be sitting here, but this little guy here came in for cuddles. And so I am taking them. They are a joy to receive. Right, so the self-center and self-identity. So there's a lot of stuff out there about people looking for identity. There's a lot of identity politics, and I really do apologize for how fuzzy my camera is. I might start doing these on my laptop. Well, my camera's still fucked up. And a lot of people claiming to be certain things. Look, I'm a projector, but I'm actually not a projector. When I say I'm a projector, I'm talking about my mechanism. I'm talking about the physicality that I was born into. But I existed before this, and in what format, I really don't care. And I really don't fully know, because being born makes you forget a lot of stuff, right? Coming into the meat takes a lot of energy. And, you know, when I leave this body, I will leave this body behind, and I will have done what I came to do in this format. It's like, you know, this little fluffy guy here. This is a liminal being that communicates between the worlds. And he has a particular job he's doing here, you know. And it's quite interesting to watch him begin to do it. And when he's done, he'll leave his body with no attachment to it. But we live in a world where people are identifying with particular genders, with being female. You know, a lot of women are in their feminist stuff. A lot of people are in there. I'm Māori, I'm black, I'm all these things. I'm a woman, I'm a trans woman, I'm transgender, I'm gay, there's a difference between sexual preference and identity. And that's always an interesting one, because sometimes you get both with the same label, right? Sometimes you get identity and sexual orientation. I've definitely seen that occur. I've also seen it where that's not really the thing that's going on. It's just a sexual orientation with no identity to it. I feel that very much about my own sexual identity, you know, is like, it just is what it is. I don't think about it. I don't identify with it. I don't give a shit, really. In human design, 30% of people are undefined in the self. And what this means is, so this self-center, this big diamond in the center of your chest, it gives you a set purpose when it's defined, and it gives you a set feeling of who you are. And I use the word feeling very specifically because these are body mechanics, right? When you look at that chart, it is a mechanism describing the body, and then the 4 arrows at the top are the mechanism of the mind. But that body graph is really about feeling, and you can feel stuff through those centers. And I've had quite a few students recently going, oh, I can feel it when someone has a defined root because I have an undefined root, and so I can feel that, right? Well, as a projector, I can actually feel when someone has a defined root, even though my root is defined, because a projector is really here to feel the other. But it's a physical feeling of knowing the self, right? So when I talk about self-definition, it is a feeling I have. I know who I am. Oh, who is that? Fuck, it's a different person every day. Talk to someone who has self-definition, who's really given some consideration to themselves, and ask them who they are, right? And I was just saying to a friend of mine, I was saying, look, my sun gate is in the rebel. It's in the revolution. And there is part of me that, because that's conscious, because it's personality-based, because my mind can get involved in that gate, right? It identifies with being the rebel, totally. But it's kind of bollocks too, right? Because I'm not really the rebel. I'm rebellious in this society, that's true, but that is tied and attached to the third dimension. Out of this body, what am I? Oh, I'm not that. And there are plenty of days where I do not even consider being the rebel, you know? I help people rebel against the system, become themselves, you know? Not because you need to rebel, but because you need to be yourself, and the system has taught you against yourself. So the true revolution in your life is becoming you. But ultimately, who am I? I don't know, it's a fucking feeling, right? And if I get too caught up in trying to define who that is, there's a not self quality even to it for me. There's a personality projection to it even for me. And the name of the game is awareness. That is being present. And being present requires you actually let go of definition and just observe. And as soon as you're locking into definition, as soon as you're identifying with definition, you're kind of full of shit. And so here's the thing about, I've been talking a lot with a friend who's undefined self. I actually have quite a few people around me who are undefined self. And, I was listening because I've got that inner ear, like unconscious inner ear definition. So it's not something I mess with my mind or my personality projection. It just is. And it really has this ability to hear things that just don't sound right. And people will say things and I'll be like, man, that doesn't sound right. Some people say things with certainty and they have an undefined minds. And I don't even have to look at their charts. I know they have undefined minds because my inner ear goes, ugh, that didn't sound right. And it can even be correct logically what they say. But because they say it with such certainty and they don't have defined minds, it's like, oh, incorrect use of your mechanism. You're not here to be certain, you're here to be open-minded. Well, when self-definition, people without self-definition start saying shit about who they think they are, boy, does it sound shit. My inner ear goes, bollocks. It's just bollocks. It's like the bollocks detector. It comes up and goes, full of shit, total bollocks. Oh, I'm this and I'm that and I'm a kind, considerate and generous person. And I'm like, oh, the lady doth protest too much, methinks. Oh, I'm a very intelligent person. Oh, I'm not an athletic person. Oh, I'm a this, I'm a that. I'm a, who the fuck do you think you are? I'm a goth. I'm, give me an identity. I'm a feminist. You're someone looking for an identity is what you are. And my guess is you have undefined self. And you see the beauty of undefined self is you're a fucking chameleon. Is that you don't feel you know who you are. And so therefore you can play. And what's funny is some of the best actors, many great actors, have undefined self. How useful is that they can become whoever they want to become? Right? So this self-identity stuff, the people who are defined, the 70% of the population who are defined with self-identity, they know who they are, but they don't give it a second thought to define that. They don't need to. They feel it in their system, that's enough. And those of you who don't feel it, who don't know who you are, who spend more than half your time going on about who you are, stop. Please stop. Your liver is suffering because of your self-identity projection. I have a self-projected quality in the definition of my chart. I really can speak to that which aligns with who I am, right? But it's not really about that. It's about my mechanism playing itself out. It's about my mechanism knowing how to align to a particular purpose that it came here for. That's all it is. And so when I speak to, through storytelling, who I am or what I'm here for or whatever that is, it's really me talking about the purpose that my design came into this world for. Now, those of you who lack self-definition, you came here to have multiple purposes. You came here not to be fixed in that way. You came here to help people like me with our purpose. Should that be correct for you through your definition? Right? I might not be the correct person for you to help. I came here to help you have a purpose for a moment in time, if I'm the correct purpose for you in this moment. Or any of the other 70% of the world with self-definition, right? And the interesting thing is that the majority of leadership comes out of the self-center, right? These are where the self-defining staff becomes leadership. And so those people who don't have self-centered definition really came here to support others in leadership roles. Even those of you with the Queen line, right? Something's quite interesting about that Queen King channel is that it doesn't require self-definition to be defined. And so what does that mean? Well, a good queen, a good king holds space for her people, right? So those of you who have that full channel of rulership, it's really about everybody else. Like the message of that whole channel is it's about everybody else. It's about what everybody else is here for. It's about everybody else's purpose and about you as a queen or a king holding space for that. Now, when you have self-definition, well, it changes things a little bit. But it doesn't mean that that other part isn't true, right? That type of leadership is really about everybody under your rule and looking after them. And so when you have your purpose defined there, well, that becomes interesting, right? Because you still need to maintain everybody else. You're not here to be an autocrat, right? You're here to be a true governor of your people, a true caretaker. That's pretty cool. And then the other, leadership channels there, it's really still all about being elected, with the exception of the creative leader who moves forward without election. That 8 and 1. Truly like a truly unique way to lead. You're with me or you're not. I'll see you on the other side, It's the only one that doesn't need consensus. So, self-definition, when you actually have it, is interesting. And you can have it in different ways. You don't necessarily have to have it in the leadership gates, the leadership channels. But those of us who have leadership channels, it's by consensus. It's by election, with the exception of the 8 and 1. And then in the case of the ruler, it's not necessarily by election, but it is really about something more when it comes to looking after people, holding space for people. And so it's fascinating to me that that people get caught up in their self-definition or defining themselves, who don't have self-definition, are often scrambling for something that actually isn't about others and isn't about consensus. It's about stamping their definition on the world in a radical attempt to hook into something really through their ego for safety. And you're missing the point. A lack of self-definition well run, it's so juicy, and it's so good at holding space for people and helping people and guiding people and showing people how amazing they are and appreciating people for how amazing they are. And you don't need definition for that. It's so cool. And in fact, without that definition, you bring something so incredibly unique. So shut up about who you think you are, because I'm not talking about who I am. I don't care. Why? Because I know who I am. Why? Because I feel it. Not because I know. It's just a physical feeling. That's it. The same with being safe. Someone was talking about safety the other day, and I'm sure I pissed them off with what I said. And I'm like, safety in 3D is futile. And I know. I carry multiple wisdom gates hanging off an undefined spleen. I have gone through the hell realms of trying to find safety. And I can tell you, it is not here. It is not in the 3rd dimension. It is 5th dimensional. And those of you who are trying to find safety in your relationships and safety in this and safety in that, good luck. But I tell you, you're going to go to hell and back trying to do that. You're going to go to hell and back trying to find safety outside of yourself. It is a 5th dimensional quality that you carry within you. And when you really tap into it, you're going to get enlightened. Just like when you really tap into the fact that there is no point in actually trying to define yourself, you're going to get enlightened. There's magic in these undefined centers. It's where we have to let go of 3D ideas and become playful and become light, And right in the middle of this apocalypse, the lifting of the veil for each and every one of us is to check into our white centers and go, oh, I don't need it. I don't need to lock in, to define. I don't need it. Have a great day. Erin Zen Warrior signing out. Don't forget to like, follow, and tell me how bad my image is. I know I've got to work out how to clean up this phone. I'm probably going to have to go get a new phone. That's the truth. Have a great day. Erin Zen Warrior signing out. Oh, tune in next time. I'm going to do one on autism. I wanted to do it the other day, but my camera was so foggy it was impossible. Bye.